All right. Well, hi, Phil. And how was the beginning of the Latin American tour with the last shows you had in Mexico?
Amazing. I think the Mexico City one was one of our top five concerts of all time because it was
What?
just yeah. I think the energy and there's a lot of reasons why. I think and I and this is me personally. I don't know whether everyone in the band agrees, but I think the best show we've ever done was in Los Angeles about 6 months ago,
Uh-huh.
and it's we've never been this good. We've better singers, the playing's good. We keep working on the set list, changing little things, but just the other night it was like it blew us all away, and last night was fantastic as well. We played Monterey. That's where I am right now.
Yeah.
It's so it's just a wonderful, great way to start, and all are amazing and love it.
Well, one thing about Def Leppard is that I think about big crowds, and what you were saying takes me straight to the term arena rock. How do you feel about the term arena rock? Do you think it's a genre in itself, or is it a big part of Def Leppard's identity?
I think it is. I know it'd been named years ago, but it kind of does describe, especially rock bands with a big production. And I don't Beyonce or Taylor Swift even or whatever, but it's with a rock band, it's slightly different. And so that I think that's what that means. And a stadium is even more. So it depends on where you're at, but we still put that same show on, and it's just a big show. It's just another way of saying giant rock show.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because when you listen to songs like Fire It Up, new songs, it feels like when you do making a song like that, you're thinking about the crowd that you're gonna be playing it for. Is it something that comes when you're making a song? You're thinking about the crowd that you'll be playing for?
You'd like to think that it would work in that thing. So kind of, yeah. I mean, it's really hard to write a song like that without it sounding cheesy and without it sounding contrived. But I think with that one, especially in Kick, they naturally felt that way, and they felt that they deserved to be played on a big stage, big rock show. So for sure, absolutely. And you never know when you start writing it whether it's going to have that ingredient, but yeah, it sure did.
All right. Well, let's talk about the new record. And can you tell us how is it different from any other previous Def Leppard record?
It is. I think, yeah, again, we went in, we wasn't going to record an album. We were supposed to go and record like 2 songs, and then the pandemic hit and all the flights got cancelled. So we went home, and me and Joe, we started sending ideas together for fun. It was like, well, I've got this idea for a song, not for an album or anything. And we kept doing this with like 5 songs, and we're like, this sounds like a new album, but the style was different and the feel. I think we with this album we kind of celebrated the time period when we got introduced to music. It was like the David Bowie, T-Rex, Mott the Hoople, Queen. It was all of that stuff when we were like 14 and stuff like that. So without knowing it, the album it turned into something like representing that kind of era, the really important part of your life where you become drawn into music, and it, again, like I said, it wasn't done on purpose, but that's kind of how it turned out, and that's why we called it Diamond Star Halos, because it was a line out of a T-Rex song.
Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting how technology can shape music, and I bet you have noticed this throughout 4 decades of being on stage and making records. That make me wonder, are there any trends that you've seen around these 4 decades that you wish that could come back, or maybe current trends nowadays that you wish you were over with them and like, passed in the next phase?
I mean, I like going into studios, but it was so much better doing it on my laptop. I've done all my guitars and all my vocals on my Mac laptop, and it saves so much energy and time. I mean, like I said, I like going in a studio. It's kind of cool, but it really takes a lot of time. And I think if you're a songwriter and you're recording, you know what you want, it's so much easier with the technology. We started off making vinyl records, and it was cassettes, then CDs, and downloads, and then streaming. And you have to move with it. And I think you have to, you know, appreciate everything that comes new. Yeah, I'd love to do some of that stuff, but having said that, like last night, you know, we my guitar rig on stage, it's computer software, and it sounds amazing. It never sounded that good before, and the speakers are better, the technology, the monitors, your in-ear monitors. So I think as long as you move along with it, and make it your friend, I think that's the thing. I think if you dig your heels in and go, I don't want to be part of this, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're not going to move on. So you have to accept everything and kind of make it your own as well.
All right. Well, going back to this tour, and you're going with Mötley Crüe, and can you tell us about the connections between Def Leppard and Mötley Crüe? How far does it go back?
We've known the guys since 1983. I mean, yeah, and you know, over the years, we've hung out. I remember I was talking this morning, me and Steve Clark, we were staying at Tommy Lee's house. This was in the 80s, you know, and it's like, so we have a history. We obviously two very big rock bands that done a very different approach, you know, both MTV era, but just different things. So it's just so lovely to be on tour with friends like this, and making two different sides of rock. We actually done this coin toss the other day, and it's kind of, you know, it's a real thing. On one side it said Def Leppard, and the other side it said Mötley Crüe, and we was going to find out who gets the best place on the plane, Def Leppard or Mötley Crüe. Decided to do both, but it's kind of a bit symbolic, you know. You have two different faces of rock, and it works really great together. And the fact that we all get on, we're actually getting on our first plane trip today. We're going on you know, the big Def Leppard Mötley Crüe airplane, so that's going to be hilarious and fun. And we love everyone there, so it's like a giant family. So it's really fun.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I've also noticed that in terms of your Latin American dates, you have about 3 days in between each show, which, if you think about the old days when you had every night a different city and you lose track of where you are, I was wondering, is it a conscious decision to have this space in between shows and maybe grasp a little more about the cities you're playing in?
I don't think it was done intentionally, but it's so we sing, we do a lot of singing. This is so great for our voices, having that time off to recover. If you done every day, we wouldn't be able to do this. You know, it just, your voice would go the next day. But doing this is amazing, and you know, it depends on who you ask. I love going out and, you know, being a tourist. One of the things when we was going to go to Peru, and this didn't happen obviously because of a lot of different reasons, I've always wanted to go to Machu Picchu, obviously. Yeah. And was like, can I fit it in? Can we get a plane and maybe get a helicopter or something and get there? But we didn't have that enough time, so I'm gonna have to come and do that another time. But yeah, it's going to be our first time in Peru, so it's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because we know that you are doing lots of songs from Hysteria, Pyromania, and your new record. But when it comes to do your first show in a country for the first time, do you take that in consideration when you build up the set list?
You kind of do. It's for most part. If there's something that's very specific in one country or something, then you change something around. But we're still trying to perfect the show, so we've changed it a bit since the American tour, and I think it's better. I think this is the best set we've done. So we really want to kind of share that with everyone, so they kind of get the same thing. Obviously, if there's and this has happened before, we had a song in Canada that was a massive hit, like #2 in the singles charts and in the Philippines, but nowhere else in the world. So we done a version of that, you know, because we had to. We had no idea it was such a big hit. But.
Yeah, well, that makes me wonder, considering that you've been around the entire world and you've been touring for so many decades, what are the things that unites the fans of Def Leppard? Have you got any sense of a uniting thing, if no matter if you're in Tokyo or Canada or South America or who knows where?
Yeah, there's a thing, and it's joy. And you see it on people's faces. I mean, last night, I could see joy, and that's the one word that keeps coming back. People are so happy and just kind of, and I think that the songs, the nature of the songs, they're kind of, they just make you feel good, and that's the one thing that we see everywhere. It's like universal. You see people really happy, especially when we do it well. It, for most part, we are, for like 85-90% of the time, it's more or less there, and sometimes it's 100%, sometimes it's 85, but it absolutely, joy would be the word that springs to mind.
Yeah. And what about the diversity that you find within your audience? I know that you're sticking to your roots, and you're saying that you, with this new album, you went back to the bands that got you started in this genre. But traveling around the world and meeting new people and getting to know different cultures, do you think that in any sense that kind of like builds in Def Leppard?
Absolutely, and more personally, because everyone's very different individuals. You get, like I said, I'm a tourist. I love getting local culture wherever. It could even be in Omaha, Nebraska in America. I'll go out, and I'll go out in the morning. I'll find a coffee shop or whatever. And if there's, museums and stuff like that, I personally do that, and it makes such a difference. It's the best learning experience you could ever have. And the different cultures, it just makes it's a joy. It's a joy for me. But it's like it changes you. It kind of teaches you, and we're always learning. So I love that fact. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole process, to be quite honest.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Machu Picchu, and I really hope that you get to know a little more about Peruvian music, and our culture somehow becomes an influence in you. But what would you like to say to the Peruvian fans that are going to see a Def Leppard show for the first time?
It's a long time coming. We can't wait. Obviously, it's like, whoa, finally. So and like I said, we're kind of the top of our game. So you're going to get a really great representation of what we're all about. And even with the set list, it spans everything. It's new stuff, it's old stuff, it's exciting stuff. It's a show, and I think I can't wait to share that with our fans, especially as they haven't seen us before. So it's going to be just wonderful.
Well, that's very nice, Phil. I'm really looking forward. You're gonna play in our biggest stadium, so
No,
I'm sure that's one thing that you're comfortable with, and I'm pretty sure us Peruvians are gonna be thrilled about seeing a Def Leppard show in a stadium full of people.
perfect. Can't wait. It's really, really great, and we'll get a little bit of time there as well. So hopefully we can, again, get some of the culture, kind of soak up some of the culture and just see what's going on. So really looking forward to that.
All right, well, Phil, enjoy the rest of your day in Monterrey, and I hope you enjoy your show in Peru.
Thank you. Gracias. We'll
All
see
right.
you there.
Bye.
Bye.